Hello and welcome to Timeout Srish-tea, where we have candid conversations over a cup of tea. Today we have with ourselves an inspiration to creatives all around the world, Mr. Saravanan Natarajan.
Right, that's right. Hi.
What brings you here today?
I think it's the youngsters here, the young minds around, and I think that's vibrant environment around the place. And design thinking is all about you guys coming together and trying to bring back the newness. So that's what I'm doing here right now.
So today you're here to inspire us. So
Okay.
I was wondering who inspired you when you first started your creative journey and what inspires you till today?
I think it's an interesting question though. My creative journey has been of very different sorts. I started off my career being actually aspiring to be a chartered accountant, and from there I have diverse myself into different fields. The last 30 years of my time has been where I've never been on the same field ever, but all of them are converged together is helping me in the business that I'm driving right now. I've been on the event side, I've been on the creative side, I've been on the technology side, I've been again on the social media, been on the marketing side, product side. But converging the overall thing together is where we started Gurupriyam as a company. The intent company was to collaborate with artists of like-minded people around the world. We started a journey from there, and we have been grateful that we have projects in the right time, which is helping us to do a trend spot, to understand what are the latest things available in the market and how we deliver our abilities that we have learned over a period of time, put it forth to the audiences. And so far, it's been good stories for us.
So, what philosophies that you've learned do you impart to your brainchild, Gurupriyam?
So Gurupriyam typically works on a very simple philosophy. We say that every one of us is a born artist. We choose a profession by either because of the dimensions that we are in over there or the compulsions that we have. But every one of us has that artist in us. So we need to rekindle that artist back again. Some of the best ideas might come around from the room that we sit around over here. It's only when you bring all the wheels together to season them together. That's one. Two is that Gurupriyam works very strongly on 4 core pillars. We work on saying ideate, we talk about explore, we talk about create and celebrate. So we say that any of our projects that we talk or anything that we do from a business point, we always ideate together. We figure out saying what is the code or what is that big idea we talk about. And once that idea is done, then we say that how do we explore the idea in the right way. We talk of the possibilities of the do's and the don'ts, the pros and the cons. We figure out that we explore around the arena that we are in right now. Once that is qualified, then we talk about creating that environment. So creating is that prototype to validate it, to figure out and to say what needs to be done. We deliver the project across. Once the project is done as per the designs of validation, we deliver it to the market over there, and then we celebrate. Every single thing that we've done, irrespective of the volume of the business or the magnitude of the project, we celebrate all of our stories together. Celebration is not essentially about the success of a project. We talk about celebrating what we learn from the project, even if it's something that we have done a flaw, we have done a course correction from it, how do we revive back, but we celebrate these moments. So all of our project that we've done, whether it's going to be physical in nature or a digital in nature, we have always learned something, and this has become the core forefront for Gurupriyam. Ideate, explore, create, and celebrate.
So, do you think that these core pillars that you mentioned are what are setting you apart from other competing companies?
Yeah, I would say to a large extent, yes. One of the areas that we have been different is that we are not a specialized company in one stream. We are a boutique of sorts. We are a storytelling company where design, art, architecture, fabrication, technology, they all converge together because of the kind of expertise that we bring together and put the life to it. So we say what we translate is the storytelling. No matter we say how much technology is exploding all around the places, we say story has to be in the forefront. And what we have learned over the last 20, 30 years of different experiences and different formats of my journey of being in this field has helped us to converge together. And the core team again comes from a diverse background. So that is what is keeping us alive.
Okay. So, speaking of storytelling, there were a few buzzwords that I noticed when I was reading up on you.
Okay.
So, one of them was Phygital,
Right.
and the other was mostly about creating immersive experiences.
Right.
Can you elaborate on that?
Right. Phygital is a very, a term that came mostly to be used in India way back in 2012, 13, that's the time. I would say 2012-13 was the transition time for India, where people were focusing slowly a shift from a physical world to a digital world. Branding started coming there. Digital started diving back in over there. Phygital is where you bring the physical and the digital world to merge together synonymally. When I say synonymally, the idea is that sometimes you have a great physical experience doing, but the digital is completely cut off. Sometimes when I say that you have a great digital platform, but your physical world is completely getting cut off.
Yeah.
So we started blending both of the worlds together. To give an example, say we started to do holograms, virtual holograms, 3D holograms. When it's a 3D hologram in a physical world, we bought a digital environment of a person appearing in front of you to be realistic. And that became a kind of a blend within the area. So that's the phygital activation that we talk about. Digital immersion gradually became an essential part of the journey. Whoever at that point in time neglected saying that I would want to be the traditional media, the traditional way of talking about activities or activations, they had a tough time to cope up over a period of time. But whoever embraced it at the time early over there, they were able to take the leap of faith and blend back with what is available in technology. That's the digital immersion part we talk about. Now, gradually, if you look at all of our experiences, we say even though it's a physical installation works that we do, we have a digital angle to it. Digital angle could be as simple as you scan to get some data about it, or you have a light that is being projected onto a building, but it's digitally controlled by us. Physically, though being there, but digitally it's controlled by us. Likewise, to talk about any kind of a data format that's available. If you take a small live example right now, there's a project that's been worked out in Yelahanka Lake, where we're doing 12 different postures of yoga. But these yoga postures, daytime will look like a huge art installation. But towards evening, when you walk across, it transforms with light. The light is programmed. That's a digital immersion that we talk about. Then we have an added layer where physically you can take your mobile to scan. It teleports you to talk about how yoga needs to be practiced. So thereby making somebody to come, attract them, then engage them, and then connect them back again.
So, as you mentioned, do you think these immersive experiences, they bring a side to marketing that you feel is it's like better, or it has a bigger effect on your audience?
It entirely depends on what is the objective of the business from the client side, whether it's tactical, whether you're looking at this entire experience as a huge brand activity, or you're looking tactically saying that you want to have more word of mouth, or you're looking at a sale point where you see an activity which is digitally engaging you so that there's a sale happening. It's quite subjective at the charts to talk about. But if you look at an India per se market over here, digital embracing has happened in a bigger way. If you talk from a mobile point, we have embraced mobile more than anybody else in the world. But to talk about how digital experience, is it relevant to all? May not be relevant to all, but it becomes a part of your life. You're more or less, you need to have some sort of an engagement today, because that's become the paradigm shift of your medium to learn about what's happening around you. If you're not there in this medium, probably you miss out on a whole plethora of your audience. So it's essential that you need to have a digital engagement, but practically you also need to have the physical engagement, with story again being the core to it. How do you want to put it in the forefront?
Okay. So I also wanted to ask about how you mentioned diverse backgrounds. So not only are the people working with you from a diverse educational and professional backgrounds, they also come from diverse cultural backgrounds.
Right.
How do you think that impacts the products you put forward?
It absolutely impacts back. I think that again goes back to the philosophy of the company we work with is, when we sit as a company, we are a group of artists from diverse backgrounds. The youngest member in our company is about 7 years old. The oldest member in our company is about 78 years old. Now, when I talk of the group of people that are coming from a background, we have people who are bikers, photographers, chefs. We talk about coders, we have dopers, we have gardeners, cinematographers. We talk of sculptors. So it's a conglomerate of different artists with diverse background. That's one. Two, every artist makes a big difference to saying how they can bring a product to shape. So if I take one of the examples, way long back, we done a project for a client called Kingfisher. When they had rebranded, they had to come into the market. So we said, we'll come back with an activation which is physical and digital in nature. So we created a kiosk where you have physical cans of Kingfisher with the bird in, and then how can you recreate the rhythm of the Kingfisher tune? Kingfisher tune was very synonym to people to recollect back, so it is a forgotten thing. We created the cans where you can come and create the Oola La La song, and you successfully do the note, you're able to get a printout of it. Now, when we're trying to talk of this design, this entire idea came from a guy who was actually a musician sitting in front of us, saying that why not we make a signature note as a musical note instead of making anything as a physical digital. So when we took that idea, then we had a coder saying that why not we do interaction designs with using the bottle cans to create the music note of them. Then we had another guy who spoke about saying, let's give a form factor to it. You have the cans, you have the notes, you have the interaction, let's give a form factor to the whole thing. Hence, every guy, when he came back and gave an input, it became an essential ingredient of making the whole project to come to life.
I actually saw that project today, and it's so nice to hear how it all came about.
Right.
So this was a project I was really interested in. Another thing I got interested in was something about immersive experiences with water fountains and music. Could you elaborate on that?
Water fountain and music, if you typically look at, water has always had a calming effect on people. Yeah. Fountains have always been as an ornamental thing for people to look at and calm yourself and be very serene. So our blend was saying physical, digital in nature. We said how we could create interactive musical fountains. One form factor we started was to do a musical fountain where you create music and sound to go in tandem and rhythm. That's something that's been practiced for a long time. If you take the Mysore Palace and other places, you have the musical fountains and other things. But what it is the interaction part. When I said from immersive point, we created musical fountains where, let's say we have a circular musical arena of water, a water body which is circular, say 40, 50 feet of circular water. Around this water, we have a fountain being embedded. It's a musical fountain. But the musical fountain would come into life only by a physical action. Now, what is the physical action? We had almost about 15 to 16 different cycles, pedaling cycles being kept over there. People had to come sit down over there in the evening and cycle. So it becomes one way of stress buster and also becomes calorie burning activity. But as you start pedaling a cycle, the musical fountain, first the water starts dropping outside, it starts spouting the water. Then as you increase your speed, the lights gets ignited. Then as you increase the speed, consistently all going at a particular speed, say 60 kilometer or 40 kilometer speed, the musical fountain starts interacting with you. So that became installation will work only when you're interacting with it. So that's one form factor. The other area what we did was a chasing fountain. So you actually had a huge walkway, typically in a park, and we wanted to attract the kids to really move along and run along. So we created a fountain that's typically just a jet fountain oscillating, but the jet fountain will work only when you run along. So when you run along, the fountain runs along with you. When you run back, the fountain runs back with you. So thereby creating an interaction form factor over there. So that's something we do. Right now, we're doing again fountain in the form of what we call as curtain projection. So in open arenas, it could be lakes, it could be rivers. We have a floating fountain being done. We create about 80 feet to 120 feet, a huge screen, digital screen that comes out of fountain with the water spread. In that we project, and when we project, there's content that comes out of it, and that content depends on what you want to show across. Today, as we are talking right now in Ayodhya, there is a digital curtain that has been projected where the entire Ramayana is narrated in that. So that's a way you could look at saying fountains can be made interactive, immersive with digital coming into picture.
Okay, so these experiences that you're creating, apart from marketing whatever brand or philosophy you have been assigned with, they're also impacting people.
Mm-hmm.
So is there like any objectives you have in mind about how it affects your audience when it comes to these?
Absolutely, I think that's the core for our business. That's one of the reasons we started. Whatever values we've learned over a period of time, the kind of people that we have pulled in together as artists to work along, we want to create value to the system back again. So if you look at any kind of installation that you've worked along, say for example, let's take Yelahanka itself. In Yelahanka, we have created a project called the NES Circle. We have the tower lights. So when you go towards Yelahanka from the Galleria Mall, when you enter towards the Bellapur Road, you will find a huge metal tower. It's about a 60 feet tower being done in the form of a flower. During daytime, the entire arena looks like a nice metal sculpture being done. Evening, it transforms into an LED art sculpture completely. There are multiple designs of lights that float in over there. Now, the background to the place is that we had a challenge which was spoken by the departments over here, saying that the space is being completely abused in terms of it had become a dump yard. People used to drink over there, people used to smoke over there. Very shady kind of a place. So we said we'll convert the shady place into a landmark. So when we plugged in this entire tower over there, we had to utilize the space. We converted the space into a nice landmark. We created a landscape. Once the landscape is created, we created a nice divided aisle so people can cross over the place because of the busy stretch road. Now to balance the tower, we created another huge clock tower in that place. It's one of its kind again, the clock tower in India. It's a very unique, sleek design that's been done by us over there. You could watch the clock on all four sides. And again, conventionally, instead of just the gong sound or the bell sound that comes in, you have actually omkara that comes into it. So every hour, there's a huge shanka sound that blows, and then there's om that resonates in the entire place over there. Today, as you look at the place, people used to call any a circle, now they call it as Tower Junction. So
what junction?
Tower Junction. So the names have slowly been changed over there. That's one part to it. If you take another part, if you look at art installations in that arena over there, you have the cars and autos and tractors and different objects being done made of scrap material. Now the idea is to say that how do we recycle these materials and make people to love art. One of the inspiration that we had taken in Yelahanka is that Yelahanka has a lot of young people, specifically talking about the kind of colleges it's surrounded with, where people like art and art related subjects across. So we have plugged it over there. Instead of conventionally having regular monotype of sculptures, we started bringing a flavor back into the system over there. So that's how we have been working along with the project. The other projects to talk about, wherever we talk of heritage, cultural and other values, we get engaged back saying that whatever we have learned as storytelling is from our grandparents and fathers and other people. Today's children are very busy back again. We don't know what to talk back because they're very restless. If we don't go back and understand our history first, convert them into a document which is physical or digital nature and give it back to them, they're not going to carry this back again to anybody else. Or we are depriving them of an opportunity to know about our past. So it's a constant endeavor within our system saying that whatever we engage in projects, there has to be a value that goes back into society. Of course, there are projects which are purely what you call corporate or commercial in nature, but it's always been an endeavor to say what we give back to the community.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So would you say that you're taking technology, which is often seen as a distraction for the younger generation, and converting it into something that is enriching them,
right,
and kind of enabling the process of going forward rather than just like being something that is only considered like a waste of time?
I think that's an interesting question again. I would say at this point in junction, when we stand in 2023, we would say we all like cyborgs right now, right? If you practically say, let's talk about the mobile today, if you don't touch your mobile, use your mobile, you practically cannot live back. It's become an integral part of you, though it's detached with you. So we are, in a sense, we're living like a cyborg. So if you don't know how to manage this, it's going to take over you. That's one part of the business. Second is that we are all functional animals. We are all habitual in nature. Habit as a word itself is so sticky that no matter how much you do it right, it's very sticky. If I use a simple word like habit, H-A-B-I-T, right, you take H out of it, a bit of it remains. You take A out of it, bit remains. And you take B out of it, it still remains. It's that sticky. So anything that you do as you work, anything that you do as your activity, it's a function of your habits. Your surrounding needs to be changed. Technology can be a good enabler for that. Now, one of the ways is to forcefully come and say to you, don't do this. It's a natural tendency for you to react by saying, I will do it. Because that's a resistance we talk about. Human tendencies, when somebody tries to attack you, the first thing is you'll defend, right? Nature also works the same way. You try to do something, you'll try to defend back over there. So we have been using these analogies in our products that we develop. So one of the products we developed was a very simple, intuitive solution. Say, when a child sits in front of a TV, usually he or she doesn't get up from the place. They're glued to the TV. And most of the time, the parents come and feed them whatever they feed. They eat the food. They don't even learn basic values of taking the plate or the cutlery to go back and keep in the kitchen. So we developed a very simple solution. We have a simple sensory device which is plugged into the TV. When you're watching the TV and eating, which is not should be the practice, but 15 minutes from there, the TV just blinks once. And if you're not able to move from there at that point in time, in next 5 minutes, the TV actually shuts down. When it shut down, you have to move away from the frame. If you're not moving up the frame, for the next half an hour, the TV will not turn on. Thereby, what we did is, you actually take the cutlery, you go back, you plug it into you put it back into the wash basin, wash your hands or wash the vessels, then you come back, that becomes a functional habit. Thereby, that becomes a product of sorts to talk about. We have worked on multiple products on these lines where everything is a functional habit in nature.
Okay. So, do you think that you're impacting, like the examples you give, I would think that you're also impacting the ethics that come with something technological. the ethics that most companies sometimes refuse to consider when they're making their products.
Yeah.
So do you, is this something that you focused on, or is it something that came as a byproduct and then you realized, oh, we should go forward with this?
No, it's a functional habit that we imbibe in us, saying that this has to be the core part.
Okay.
If you don't have those values being put into Gurupriyam over there, then we don't exist. So it's as simple as I can go back and work in any organization where I'll be happy with whatever I have to earn back. When we started Gurupriyam, very conscious saying that we will do things that gives us satisfaction, things which gives us money as well, things which also gives us a responsible name back. Last 1.5 years back when we did not much of installation during COVID time, we were struggling to figure out saying what to do and how to move along with life. We pivoted with the time. When we started focusing on art installations, we had an opportunity, and the clients were good enough to experience us and trial with us. When we started doing the experiments over there, over a period of 1.5 years, we saw close to about 15 to 20 installations we are done right now. Now these installations, as we walk today, it takes a lot of pride saying they become part of your daily living habit. If you walk into Newtown Road, you find at least about half a kilometer stretch of Newtown Road is illuminated with lights from the trees. It's completely programmed, something we have done there. You talk about the art installations of various sorts, that's been done there. We have the tower light. Then again, if you go back to Yelahanka Lake, again we're doing yoga postures. We're doing about Surya Namaskara in a never seen before kind of a format, which should be launched in about 10 days from now. It gives a lot of satisfaction saying that how we can be part of this kind of a change. So yeah, so that's how it's made.
Congratulations on your newest installation. Do you have any idea what your next endeavor would be, or are you just gonna see where the inspiration comes up?
I think I would like to keep it open at this point.
Yeah.
So far, the journey has been beautiful for me. There is
Yeah.
no regrets as to which field I've been, which field I've not been in there. Technology has been the flavor right now, and we believe in trend spotting. Whatever is the trend for the time, we adapt the trend and we see how that can be weaved into the system and relevant to the system. So I would keep our minds open. We never know how technology is going to evolve over a period of time. Right now, the technology is changing dramatically and very fast. What I've used technology as just a few weeks, a few months back is not relevant right now.
Yeah.
So we're open to the mind. We kept ourselves completely open, adapt, explore, and move along.
Yeah. So, like you mentioned, that when you started immersing technology into your work, it was something that the designers that didn't do those steps, didn't take those steps, they weren't able to keep up with it. They weren't able to keep up with the trends. Is there any technology that you think is really essential to your process and your next few installations that you're trying to incorporate in?
It's very important from a technology point of view today, if you're going to be in that space, to know what's happening around you. One is to say that you're a specialist of a specific, kind of a genre of a job that you're doing in, but you need to know what's happening around you. To give a small example, if you say that if you're an artist who's doing a 3D art, it's important to know how a 3D art works not only within the system, because that's your visualization, that's your ability to do it. Where all this could be applied back. If you're going to do this as a projection mapping, do you understand how projection mapping works?
Yeah.
Do you understand how the hardware works for projection mapping? I'm not trying to say that you need to be a master of this all, but you need to know how the functionalities are going to work, what are the different components and different wheels that are there, and you will have to know how these things work along with you. If you don't work along with these things, then you're left in a space where you could elevate to the next level, but still in the first gear, you're not moving to the next gear.
Okay. Well, I think we're running out of time, but I would like to ask you, apart from all the insights that you've already given us, is there anything in particular you would like to impart onto the new generations of creatives?
Simple thing to say, during my time, I would say my time because the time lapse that I've come and your come is different. During my time, the options for us to select a career and option was very limited.
Yeah.
And accessibility of tools was very, very limited to us. So it's a choice that you be X or you be Y. So it's taken a lot of out of the box for us to move away and then shape our life where we are. The younger generation today has access to everything that they want to talk about. There's plethora of things that's available with them in terms of technology, in terms of accessibility, in terms of materials that's there with them. And biggest of all to say is that they have age today.
Yeah.
The age, a desire to be willing to move along. Today's youngsters are relentless. I would say they might be impatient, but they're very logical. they would like to know why as a question.
Yeah.
I would say for all of us, it's better to have an answer to the why question. If you're not able to answer that why, they could either become a rebel or they could really become a leader.
Yeah.
So the intent is saying that youngsters, they have opportunity with them. The technology or the scenarios around them, the environment is changing dynamically over there. They can adapt to scenarios. That's the biggest part. They can adapt to places wherever they talk about, and they're not a kind of a person who could be held on to one place at a time. They would want to move on from next level on. Or in a simple language, I'll say it's more of a gaming language, right? You don't want in the same level of the game. You want to up the level of the game. So I think youngsters are the ones who are going to make the change, and we need to adapt to the change.
Well, that's very inspiring, very insightful. Thank you for coming here today. It was very nice having you here.
Pleasure having you guys here, and I think keep the good works going along,
Yeah,
right? Thank you.
Thank you so much.